Hello everyone, welcome to our English lesson. We're going to talk about the word formation task. Here we go. There is a short plan that you need to follow to make sure that your answers are correct and everything is all right. So because you're given a text, firstly, read it carefully to understand the context. Then, using capitalized words, form your answers to fill in the gaps. The words should be with the same roots as the ones used in the capitalized words. And when you finish, you reread the text to check your answers. To make proper changes, follow these steps. Firstly, decide what part of speech the capitalized word is used in. Then check the words around the gap. They will help you to understand the part of speech that you need for the gap. It can be a verb, a noun, an adverb, or an adjective. Then you choose the proper suffix or prefix, or maybe both. After this, you check the polarity of the word. It could be a positive or a negative one. And finally, you reread the sentences to make sure that everything's fine. So let's briefly talk about these steps. Firstly, you decide what part of speech the capitalized word is used in. It could be a verb, noun, or an adjective. We needed to understand what suffixes and prefixes we can use with it. Here in the example, we've got the verb forget, as you can see. Then we check the words around the gap to understand what part of speech you need to form. As you can see here before the gap, we've got the indefinite article a, the adverb truly that describes the noun destination after the gap, tells us that we obviously need the adjective here because we need the descriptive attribute. Then you choose the appropriate suffixes and or prefixes. Here we choose the suffix able, and after checking the polarity, we add the prefix on. And most importantly, check your spelling, as you might lose the score if there is a mistake in the spelling of the word. For instance, here in the word forget, we've got the short sound "e", which is stressed, so we need to double the last consonant while adding the suffix able. So here you can see the example. So let's have a quick revision of different parts of speech and the suffixes and prefixes that they take to be formed. You remember that concrete nouns can be singular or plural. Abstract nouns can be positive or negative, because we can't count them, and the characteristic here is just positive or negative. The same story about adjectives. We can say that we've got our examples like successful or unsuccessful, adverbs healthily, unhealthily, and verbs encourage or discourage, which is the negative one. And we speak about suffixes of concrete nouns. They all are in the first column. Please mind the spelling. We've got some borrowings from French, and it takes two letters E at the end, like employees. Okay, and when we speak about abstract nouns, we've got a little bit wider choice of options in terms of suffixes, and they are all in the second and in the third columns here. Here in the slide, you see the list of suffixes to form adjectives. Some of them are formed with verbs, like attract, attractive, or fascinate, fascinating. And some of them are formed from nouns, like beauty, beautiful, or dangerous, which is formed from the noun danger. And some others. Please mind the spelling of them. Study the books carefully. Try to remember all of them. If we speak about different nationalities or languages, we use these suffixes as N, IAN, or ISH, like British, Russian, or German here in the example. One more suffix for the adjective in terms of nationalities is ESE, when we speak about the nationality, like Chinese, for example. So the next slide shows you the prefixes for nouns and adjectives. You remember, if the word starts with the letters M or P, we use the prefix im. For example, immortal or impossible. The words starting with vowels, like A, O, I, they mostly have the prefix in. For example, inability or inadequate. You can see also some other suffixes and prefixes, like a quick reminder here in this slide of yours. And here you've got the suffixes and prefixes to form verbs. Some of the prefixes here are added to the verbs, making the meaning different. Like the verb to behave, which is to act in a fine or usual way, and are the verb to misbehave, which is to act in a bad manner, which is considered wrong. If you have the adjective like large, for instance, you can form a verb using the prefix in, enlarge, to make something larger. Or to form the verb, you can add the prefix in to the adjective. For example, short, which is the adjective, you can turn into the verb to shorten, which means to make something shorter. And now let's have a look at the spelling rules. So if the word ends with a double L and we need to add suffix full, one letter L disappears. If the word ends with E and you add any suffix which starts with a consonant, which is согласный in Russian, like full, nas, mand, or some others, the letter E stays at its place. For example, hopeful. So, but there are some exceptions here. For example, the word true, if we want to make the adverb and to say truly, the letter E disappears. Or argue, argument, the letter E also disappears. If the word ends with CE or GE and you add the suffixes able or OUS, the letter E also stays at its place. For example, changeable. If we are at the suffix ing to the ending IE, it turns into Y. For example, the verb die, if we want to make the present participle dying, IE will turn into the letter Y, as you can see here in the slide. While adding any suffix apart from ing to a consonant plus Y, this letter changes into I, like in the word happiness here. But if we add the suffix ing, a consonant plus Y will have no changes. Well, that's all about the grammar rules, and now it's time for practice. So firstly, decide what part of speech you are given. So that is the word ignore. You understand that it's the verb. Secondly, you check the context and the words around the gap. Hopefully, there will be less something about our country. So we understand that we need to have a noun here. To form a noun from a verb ignore, you can use the suffix ance, which makes the correct answer ignorance. And we move on to the second sentence here. You are given the word enthusiasm. It is a noun, and the phrase is the poem met a rather response. So we need to describe the response with an adjective. So a noun plus the suffix, which is ic, is the word enthusiastic. But slow down, we check the polarity. The critics didn't appreciate the poem. So the polarity, is it positive or negative? Obviously, it is the negative one. So we add the prefix on, and our answer is unenthusiastic response. So the whole sentence is, it met a rather unenthusiastic response. We now move on to number 3. And we've got the word continue, which is the verb. The context here is the filmmakers try to find new audiences. Everything is all right. The sentence works without our word that you need to fill in the gap. Highly possibly that it should be an adverb. So we add the suffix al to turn the verb into the adjective continual, And now you have the suffix of the adverbs, ly. So your answer here is continually. And now we speak about the next one, which is the verb compare. It is the verb, the context is, not every society uses surnames, and even in the European Union, they are recent. So again, the sentence works without your word. So it should be an adverb. We add the suffix IVE to turn the verb into the adjective, and we've got the adjective comparative now. And now you need to add the suffix of the adverbs, which is ly. So your answer here is comparatively. So we have just practiced and we've done the first exercise. To make your practice more diverse and entertaining, you're going to watch the video about AI, which stands for Artificial Intelligence, and Elon Musk's opinion about the city of future. And before you start your practice, for your convenience, please download the file for the lesson Elon Musk, a Future City. It is attached below the video in the description. So now you can pause the video for a minute and print out the exercise for you. Or you can take any piece of paper and just write your answers there. You'll need your answers while watching the video to check that everything is all right with your answers. So now you choose, you either print out the exercise that I've prepared for you, or you take the piece of paper and write down your answers there so you can use them while watching the video. So now you're ready. Please start completing the sentences using capitalized words provided in the slide. Remember all the steps that you need to follow and all the rules we've discussed today. You've got several minutes. You remember that first of all, you consider the part of speech that the capitalized word is used in. Then you check the context. You check all the words around the gap before and after. You identify the part of speech that you need to form to have your sentence completed properly. You remember all the suffixes that you can use to form the part of speech that you need. After it, you check the polarity, if it should be a positive word or a negative one. And when you finish, you check the whole sentence and you move to another sentence. So quite possibly, you have already finished. If you think that you need a bit more time, you can pause the video for a moment and then get back to us when you're ready. Now we are going to watch the video and have your piece of paper with answers somewhere next to you, because we're going to check the answers right after. So let's get started.
Elon says that we are building progressively greater intelligence, and that the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. He compares humans to a bootloader, which is a tiny bit of code used to start up a computer. Elon says that you can think of humans as a biological bootloader for starting a digital superintelligence. So there needs to be some sort of merger between biological and machine intelligence, since we will be too slow keeping up with AI, creating a crisis in the future. It is all about the connection speed between your brain and your digital world. Our output is getting slower. Before, we used keyboards with 10 fingers, and now we use 2 thumbs on a phone. Elon explains that computers can communicate at 1 trillion bits per second, while our thumbs can do 10 to 100 bits per second.
Welcome back after watching this short video. Let's have a look at the answers that you've just heard in the video. And now we speak about the second part of the video. You take your time to fill in the gaps using the capitalized words provided in the screen. And in a moment, we're going to check it together. So please use the capitalized words here to fill in the gaps. You remember that first of all, we consider the part of speech which is provided. Then you check the context, check all the words around the gap. Choose the part of speech that you need to form. Try to remember all the suffixes and prefixes that you can use to form the part of speech that you need. Then you check the polarity. It might be different. Instead of positive, it can be negative, and vice versa. And after it, you reread the whole sentence to make sure that everything is correct. I guess that you've already finished doing the task, and we can start checking it and watching the video. If you feel that you need a bit more time, please pause the video and get back to the video when you think that you're ready. So let's start watching the video.
But Elon Musk is in a different world when it comes to connecting our brains to computers. He and a team are developing something called Neuralink. Threads and a chip will be implanted into the brain that will communicate to a wearable pod, allowing you to be linked with a computer. So far, a monkey has been able to control a computer with its brain, and Neuralink is petitioning the FDA to start trials with humans next year. In the future, it will enable anyone who wants to have superhuman powers of thinking and acquiring information. So that is what Elon Musk's city of the future looks like.
So we're back after watching the second episode of the video about our artificial intelligence, and let's now check the answers of yours. Hopefully everything is clear and you've got no questions. If you've got, please ask me. So the first one is the verb differ, and we turn it into the adjective, as we've got the article a here, a different world, because we need the descriptive attribute. Then the verb connect becomes connecting. So we turn the verb wear into the adjective wearable. It means that we can do that. We can wear the pod anywhere we need. And the continuation here, the verb compute becomes a computer. Then we've got the verb try, which is turned into the noun trials. So it takes the word able, which is the adjective, and adding the prefix en, we form the new word, which is enable, so to give their ability to do something to anyone. Anyone who wants to have superhuman powers of thinking and acquiring information. So human, and we've got again their prefix super, so that's superhuman, more than a usual human can. And then we've got the verb acquire, which is turned into the form with ing, and we've got thinking and acquiring information like a gerund form, which is used here in the function of a noun. So as you can see, the word formation exercise has some peculiarities that you need to have in mind while doing the task. So please don't forget the tips that we have discussed today. Remember all the steps that you need to follow. As a homework, I ask you to do two tasks. First, please read the information about our prefixes and suffixes in the file below. That is the grammar reference about all the prefixes and suffixes and spelling rules, anything which is connected to word formation task. So it's like the additional grammar reference for you, just to make sure that everything's clear. And the practice itself, you do the word formation exercises. That's all for today, and please take a good care of yourselves and have a great day. See you later. Bye.